push, isn't there, in well, my news feed, possibly yours, for a movie that's coming out called The Sound of Freedom. Jim Caviezel movie. Now, not against this. I think that's probably going to be a brilliant film by way of it having an effect. You know, like there's movies in history that have had left a permanent psychological mark on people, and it fucks some people up. You know, like changed their lives and things because it's hit something head on that they'd been hiding from. Like deeply move them. It's like I'd warn people before they saw that movie. So this could hurt you. This could hurt you, and maybe it'll change your life. What? Like, yeah, it's like this is heavy. So I watched yesterday the guy that it's based upon, and it's a matter of he'd be a difficult person to be around, right? Unless you were really solid, because of every subject matter he speaks of as to where, to some degrees, all his boundaries have been destroyed by what he's had to do for a job because of the things he's seen. So all that's left is the spirit, because that's the only thing that can fucking survive going through knowing what he knows. It's like, oh, he's heavy, and it's a matter of then he brings his pal on with him who he's got to star in the movie, Caviezel. And it's like, he's serious, that guy. And he's always been that serious as far as I've followed his career. It's like, fucking committed, this fella, focused. And it's like he operates in the right way, Caviezel. Always has, I think, or tried to convey a truth, as he puts it. That he's right, he's that, isn't he? It's like, fucking hell. Stunning actor at times, him. You know, like one of them guys who can do a bit without saying anything, like master of silence. Good actor, Jim Caviezel. So it's like, he's good at conveying that, right? It's like, this guy can make a bad movie good. He can act so great. So it's like, he's involved in it. And as, let's say let's call him a do-gooder just for a minute as a placeholder, because he's someone who, he has all the hallmarks of being something a lot more than that, Jim. It's like he wants to walk the walk. It's like you'll hear of celebrities and the like, even many YouTubers will say, higher powers know about them. And it'd be Jim Caviezel, higher powers, knows about him. What do you do about it? Play it. Have it. Show it. Demonstrate it. So it's like, as an artist, ooh, one of the great actors probably, and there's likely him being as serious as he is, him being as focused on what he is, it likely puts people to shame around him, which is like, oh, this guy's got something going on. So he gets to talking, and what's the first thing he do when he talks, when he starts to mouth off about how, because he's hit by this, it's like that guy's like granite in his resolve as to, we've got to do something about this. It's like he means it. It's like he's in this now. It's just like the path he's put himself on, he's saying he would give his life to fight what he knows is in the world. It's like, okay, Jim. First thing he says, you see, there's different ways. There's different ways of addressing an audience when you're broadcasting. First thing he's like, he's nothing without God. It's like he fears the right God. And he gives credit for every success he's ever had to his undying faith and devotion. See, he knows about mercy. Feels it. Feels God's mercy. It's like, oh shit, that makes somebody extremely tough. It's like, yeah, he fears the right God. It's like, oh, yeah, whoa, this guy's intense, and it's like, he ain't going away. And then you hear about the coming together of people as to where he's talking to Jordan Peterson because Jordan Peterson's got to be friends with Tony Robbins. And it's like, you know, Jordan, it's like if you were like, it's like he's in some way a test pilot, isn't he? Jordan Peterson. The number of people he's got to rub shoulders with who are like, yeah, I get it. Tony Robbins. It's like, you know, once I was paid a week's wages to sit listening in a classroom to Tony Robbins' tapes for a week. Paid. You're in training next week. What are we doing? You're listening to a lot of Tony Robbins tapes, and then we're going to have they bought a package from this guy's company. I'm like, this seems a bit scammy. And it's like, yeah, well, it's like this guy is inadvertently here training all the greatest scammers in the world. Tony Robbins, listening to Tony Robbins had an incredible effect on me when I was in my sort of early 20s, mid-20s. I'm like, you know what Tony Robbins taught me? He taught me why I was naturally good at what I did and what I was doing wrong. And then I listened to this and I took it in and I'm like, yeah, I get it, right, okay. And then I got to talking to my mates and it's like, right, I will listen to this and this training course. I was listening to Tony Robbins and he gave the demonstration of examples that he did, and it's a matter of suddenly everyone's game was just upped a little bit as to they understood why what they were doing worked. Fucking amazing, him. Moved on since then. Then he's now, I don't know where Tony Robbins is now, but he's certainly on some kind of leadership thing. It's like he can really sell tickets to conventions, can Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is the man, isn't he, as by way of the god of self-help. So it's like for him and Jordan Peterson to be people who exchange text messages and phone calls with each other, it's like, that's amazing. By way of people, I think, who've in their work, in doing what their work was to mass market new ideas. Tony Robbins be extremely successful. In some regards, Tony Robbins be, in his way, godlike, because it's a matter of, oh, fuck me, I know something of him. I know how competent he is because of the things about human beings he taught me that I already knew. So, Peterson is someone who, in his way, has had the same effect as Robbins has had in the 1990s and 2000s. So for them two to be talking and then it be a matter of Tony Robbins recommends Jordan Peterson watch this new movie, this Sound of Freedom. And then the next thing you know, we've got Jim Caviezel, and I can't remember the guy's name who was based upon the real guy. We'll not name the real guy, we'll just name the big shot, shall we? It's like he's less interesting to me, the real person. You know why? Because he's broken. It's like his part's been done. It's like this selling it and moving this on and raising awareness as to just how fucking nasty things can get, and the doors that have been opened to the wicked by the internet that are obvious to take place, but we just decided we were just going to ignore. It's his story, but it's not for his story to tell, is it? It's his story. It's like, you've done your bit, pal. It's like, you don't need the pressure of, you keep fighting your fight. You do what you do. You know, people seem to be picking up this duty, don't they? So it's getting passed around. If it's having that effect of being passed around, where it's having people like, fuck. It's like, welcome to the world, kids. It's like, hey, you know, you guys out in the world who are trying to make it a better place. It's like, right, you don't know nothing about what people are capable of, and it's like, those who are capable of ruthless fucking shit, you're not equipped to deal with them. And the state isn't either, because the state's frightened them as well, because they're made up of individuals with families at the same time. It's like they can apply pressure and leverage everywhere. And why would they be willing to do something so bad? Have you seen what these cunts get up to? Do you know what they're getting away with? And you know what they hope to continue to get away with? It's like that movie could show you a world based on the things that people will do for money based on desperation and need. And those who enjoy it. Those who are part of a sick marketplace that's always existed, that was almost dead until the internet allowed for it to come back to life, that human trafficking. And that go further and deeper and be more sinister than... It's like to learn a bit, right? And to, you know, get to the understanding of it is such a terrible event in your life. It will break you to find out just how evil. It's like, once you get there, when you come and realise it, it's like, whoa. You can't even think of it. And when it's itching the face, it's like, I know this already, I've just never looked at it. And it shame you. And it'd be there's a chance that there's people watch that movie and it's hit them for fucking 6. Just fucked them up. It's like, who can stop them? People who are in circles like that will fucking tell any lie and anything to defend themselves. It's like, I'm like, people capable of that kind of thing will, right, start a nuclear war to get away with it. They would. It's like there comes a time you come to really realise that, you know, within that darkest place, there are those who would destroy the world. And there will be those who strive to. And I kind of sit glee and delight about it as to where they're never going to find out what we did. It's like, I don't think everyone's ready for that. It's like, it's one of them things, it's like, there are those who, when they get what they call a rude awakening as to what the world really is, it usually comes in the form of coming across someone who knows a lot more than you do, who decides to one day put you in your place. That's as near as we get. But to have the world that you head on, that you know is out there, you fucking heard about it, but have it hit your head on. There'll be people who can't deal with that. There'll be people see that movie and they just won't be able to fucking deal with what. It's like, what have you been spending your fucking time worrying about? It's like, well, all the while, it's like those who you've been encouraged to think better of have been using that as a smokescreen to just do whatever they want. And when you find out what they want to do, you'd be like, no, I don't want to do that. And like, well, you thinking that is why they get away with it, and the only reason why. It's like, are you willing to let Jim Caviezel, right, who in my estimation is like a guided spirit, he knows who the boss is, praise right. Are you going to allow him to, like, basically unleash his higher magic on your ass? I'm saying it should have a public health warning as to how upset it might make people to see that movie. It's like, if you can't handle, if you can't handle the certain aspects of, you know, things that people actively get away with, it's like there are things that go on that are so sick that when they get found out, they're covered up, because if people found out just how sick this was, there would be a national scandal. We need to make this go away, because if people found out about this, and then there are those in the world who would choose to make that distinction as to decide what should and shouldn't be acted upon. It's like in our countries, there's a lot of power that's accumulated in not many places, and it'd be a matter of everyone who's doing the job of law and order and justice is someone who's doing a job for a wage, and they ain't serious enough about it to be able to resist those who really, really are serious about getting away with what they're doing. It's like they're just completely ill-equipped to deal with, or even think about who they're up against. It's that time of year. Everyone's doing a bit of gardening. Even I've been out. Even me. But it's like, it's the darkest place. It's like, okay, do you want to go headlong into the darkest place? And it's like, yeah, we'll watch that. And you know what the worst thing about it is, right? They'll have toned it down to make it into a movie. Toned it down. They'll have taken something that's like, okay, we can tell them this part. We can't tell them the rest, because even if we were to speak of it, it would like break the screen and people would fucking scream and shout. It's like there's a thing where they got talking yesterday along the real right lines about this. It's like, you know, those who harm children. It's like the hatred that gets just unleashed upon them is primal. It's like, it's there. It's a force of nature that comes from. And it's like, what would you call that force of nature? It's like, well, Jim Caviezel called that enlisting God's assistance in dealing with an incredible evil. That's like akin to Jim Caviezel doing that thing in the like Lord of the Rings prequels, where one of them elves gets on a ship and goes off to where the gods live and says, we need some help with this guy. Can you send us some guys along to beat him up? Can you send us someone better than these guys? Someone tougher who'll come along and kick their asses for us? Because that's what happened there. Same as what happened in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, come to think of it. So it's like Jim's done that. Jim's firing up God. He's enlisting the service of that force that would be like, you deserve to die for what you're doing. And there'll be people queuing up around the block to see you fucking hang. Maybe somehow this erupts. You know, like, these people haven't been trained to seek people's death like this. What about all this love and tolerant society bullshit that we've been trying to train them all into? It's like, well, yeah, that seems to have given these guys an opening to exploit all that language and those attitudes to get access to fucking loads of kids. Like, you've fucked up, you failed behind the mask of, we want to do everyone some good, as to, no, we just want you out of the way so we can mess with your kids. See, that strikes, and suddenly all this, oh no, we should be tolerant, gone, straight out the window. People come for you with fucking guns, axes, stones, Whatever they can lay their hands on, they'll come round to look for you to fucking kill your ass when they fucking find you. You know, we started, over the internet age, they started throwing that word around with a P all the time. And it's like, well, it kind of is everywhere, but it's a matter of just to say the words to invoke what it is. Using words like that get you in a lot of trouble. It's just invoking it. Because there were always those around you who knew something of it. Victims of it. Perpetrators of it. Everywhere. So it's like we all, in our minds, fucking damn it, but no one does fuck all to stop it, and that's what's to be shown, isn't it? Movie there will show you governments that know all about these fucking people who are up to all this shit. And it's like, well, how do we win this in a court? It's like, no, you should fuck that, and we'll all just take our badges off, wear fucking black masks, go around, grab the bastards, and fucking hang them, bury them. Well, we can't do that. Is there anyone who could? Yeah, there is. Or those who would? Yeah, that too. Why do you say that, John Boy? Well, there always is. As long as you've got that kind of activity, you've got those in the world who are fucking willing to punish it. Why? Because they know something of it. So it's like big Jim's right in front to say, I'm going to give you a fucking truth here that you are not ready for. And in this truth, I'm going to bring you some. I'm going to actually, in his way, if it works correctly, would in the end give you a great deal of hope and a sense of like clearing, if you like, from watching a movie like that. As to where you feel it and then they make it go away. But it's not gone away. They're making a sequel. And it's like, oh, the sequel's a much bigger story than the first one. It's another case in the same. What? It's like, yeah, it might sound like just a crass thing to throw in there, but it's like, I talked in the past about like organ harvesting. It's like, woo. Now there's a business for you. It's like, what's worth most to harvest from humans? And it's like, well, if you can get yourself a full set of type O negative organs, all the stem cells, all the pieces, worth a fortune. So it's like, oh, I'm worth more dead than alive. And it's like, no, you've fucked everything, so nobody wants any of your bits. Like, thanks, you just put me in the ground then. But there are those in this world who would see an endless supply of money in harvesting babies. Just an endless supply of money. And as long as people weren't asking questions about what was going on and where these baby parts and baby products were coming from, nobody's going to bat an eye as long as, well, this helps us. We don't have to ask where it comes from. Don't ask, don't tell. And it's like, what happens to these people who will go away and have a service to them, like a complete change of blood? It's not kids' blood you're into, is it? Just saying. Something freaks me out about all of it. And I'm like, no one wants to even think about it. And it's like, You bet your ass people get their organs and blood harvested and left for dead. You bet your ass there's money in that. You bet your ass there are those who are willing to get paid that way. You can bet your ass there are those who enjoy doing it. The internet allows for people who are of a fucking certain ilk to find each other in terrible dark places that we don't frequent. And look what they've been able to do behind the scenes while everyone was looking that way. They were doing whatever they wanted for 20 years. Like, no one's anywhere near it. No one's anywhere near it, Ellie. And then it's a matter of, oh, well, there are those, who are really onto it. I can tell you a tale or two about it. And I've got an idea of just about how big it is. Because we found all their porn. We found all their porn. And it's like, in finding all their porn, they've got like a real life picture of the actual scale of the fucking problem. And it'd be, oh no. And it'd be, in essence, like indelible evidence of something really, really bad that's going on. That anyone who even knew about it and didn't say nothing was in no way implicated. Everyone who'd even had a sniffer anywhere near any of it is up to their eyeballs in it. And it's like, why don't we go and nick them all? Ask them a few questions. It's like, oh, there's no political public interest in doing that. They plead guilty, say nothing, and go to prison. So yeah, Jim Caviezel wants to smash that in the face and do this full cinematic experience of it. It's like, beware, that's really dark. It'll hurt you. I mean, it's good to know what the world is, and it's good to know the truth, but it's a matter of, that's the darkest place there is. It's like understanding, the conditions in hell, right? It brings with it wisdom, right? But it comes at such a massive cost that it's not worth it, in my estimation. You should leave that to those who do, but it's like those that do, they've got no power to stop it. So, as a move that, historically, to me, would be seen as a last-ditch desperate attempt to shine light on, look, this evil's not really being opposed. All of our resources of fucking bad boys and equipment needs to be on this. Sort this out. We might get some answers. It's last ditch. It's like, I can't let this continue. We've got to do something. So they took a load of money off Tony Robbins and made a movie. And it's like, I like that. And it's like, right, it's like, do you know about Tony Robbins? Tony Robbins is the guy who taught me about shocking people and deliberately fucking with their trains of thought as being sometimes beneficial to the process of making a sale. It's like if you're trying to convince somebody of something and you can see that your ideas are failing, you change the subject altogether and ask them a shocking question or say something ridiculous. Confound, confuse, titillate, or downright go for a big fucking ridiculous laugh. And then start again. So it's like pattern interruption, the way that Tony Robbins teaches it. It's like, you're not winning here. Change tactics. How do we change tactics? We scramble their brains with something different and enlist the power of their imagination to stop them from thinking. Wow. And it's like, Tony Robbins taught people this? Yes. What would you call this? Well, they call it like neuro-linguistic programming. Well, really, it was just magic. It was like, Shazam. I know how your brain functions. I'm going to stick a spanner in the gearbox you don't know you've got. Whack. Span it. And then you pull the spanner out, set the machine going again, and see if this time it fucking pays out. Like sticking a screwdriver in a fruit machine and wangling it about and saying, right, now try it. See if you win. Give it a little pull. So it's like, if Tony Robbins has backed it, it would be sold like Tony Robbins would sell that. Tony Robbins, the salesman, to fire that demo, would insist that it would just give it you no holds barred. And at the same time, you've got a lead actor who'd be like, I'm not going to play this unless you let me fucking hit it with everything. So I'm like, okay, anti-paedophile, in the real world, action guys with evidence and networks and publicity and money rolling in, joins forces with Tony Robbins. And you're like, Tony Robbins going up against like child sex traffickers? It's like, yeah, it's like, oh, that should have been done 20 years ago. Seriously. It's like, I can't think of to be politicised and on a mission, I can't think of anyone who I'd rather be, I would not want to be up against Tony Robbins. He'd just destroy it. It's like going on stage after Alec Baldwin, isn't it? It's like, you're not going to get anywhere. You're not going to be able to upstage him. It's like no one would be able to upstage Tony Robbins at anything. And I'm like, oh, so he's paying for it. I'm like, fucking hell. It's like that could get interesting when those forces meet the forces of the underworld who will kill to survive. That's my prediction as to where that road leads. And it's like, but Tony Robbins has already thought of that, hasn't he? Yes, he has. It's like these billionaire boys, might they know some muscle? And it's like, oh, fuck yeah. Back in the day, I used to just love the notion of YouTubers interviewing like Eric Prince, Blackwater. I'm like, well, he's real competent, this guy. You can make a judgment as to whether he's a good man or a bad man. It's like, pay to do a job. And the job was never killing. The job was always a logistical task that was difficult. And things happen. But it's a matter of, I bet he knows a few lads around here. Yeah, he does. He sure fucking does. It's like, we do, to a degree, live in a world full of mercenaries. It's like the day may one day come, you know what I mean, when that movie makes a splash and Jim Caviezel fucks with people and makes them feel ashamed of themselves. With the truth he brings, because that's what God will be telling you. You should be ashamed of yourselves. And he'd be right. He'd get Jocko Willink, be like, yeah, I'll sign away, I'll come here. How far's that away? We're sorting this out, yeah, I'll come here. I've got some friends. And then there's the fun thing that gets me with Willink, where he's a fucking, he's a if they took him off YouTube and just made him a general, right? It'd be like, and people then go back and look at his YouTube as to how deeply he thought about what the world was, as to where we go to war, right? People would not want to go to war with the United States of America because they'd be in a psychological war with him. It was quite formidable, and has again seen some of the most fucked things that any human's seen, and walked, and certainly been able to then talk about it, because people who saw bad shit in World War and II generally didn't get to talk about it so much. Nowadays, they do. We all get to hear about it. Like, it's a thing, isn't it? But it's like, I don't know if it's a thing that everyone needs to engage in. So the broadcasts say everyone in the world should see this. It's like, but it might really traumatize and hurt and fuck someone's year to see it. So I'm like, if you're in that way sensitive to certain things, you don't need a boat ride to hell. If you know this story already, maybe you don't need to revisit it. If you feel the story needs telling, engage in it. But it hurt people. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying, no, it should be shown far and wide. But in the same way as you I would rightly say, you know, the other Jim Caviezel blockbuster, Passion of the Christ, right? I'm like, that's a fucking movie, that. It's like Jesus met the makers, you know, it's like the guy who learned his trade from the makers of Mad Max, which he did, Gibson. It's like Braveheart's like just Mad Max 2 in a lot of ways, on horses, in the way that it's shot and in the way that its special effects are caught in all kinds of ways. Very similar in its filmmaking style. Takes Two, telling the story of the Passion, and tells a literal story of a figure who's punished and really put to it, because that's what it meant to be scourged. And I'm like, that's fucking brilliant movie. But if you can't handle like seeing like real sadistic gore, real, you know, terrible punishment given to someone, don't watch it. Why? Because it hurt your feelings and manipulate you. Maybe you don't need that lesson. Maybe you're doing all right without it. Maybe you should watch it in 5 years' time. I'm not someone to be censorious, but I'd say they've made as they're saying they have, and they're pretty sure about it, and they appear to be very, very focused in their aims. They've made a film that hits child trafficking right on the nose. It's like, finally, someone's done it. Hits it right on the nose. It's like, do something about this. Like resources, sort this out, and then it'd be a matter of, in this day and age, you can't ask the government to do that, and asking the government to do that is a folly. You're never going to get anything done with it. That's failed. So then it becomes a private endeavour to deal with it. And that'd be, this is new, isn't it? And it's like, well, it's the knock-on repercussion of what's been set in motion. So some people have had enough, and some people have decided to take action. And it's like, you know, in your subject matter, you're like unleashing like maximum juju. It's like the world will cry out when it finds out what's being done to the young. I'm like, yeah, we know, but we feel we have to. Okay. That's fair enough. Well, it's up to us all whether or not we watch it. It'd be a difficult movie to watch. They've taken measures for it not to end up. Looks like they've taken measures for it not to end up just on the internet, although they've been offered Twitter as a straight up broadcasting platform for it. But obviously, I think they want to make some money at the box office. They think they may have an actual, genuine box office hit, or something that's going to make them 100 million or something like that. It's like, well, the old way would see you get paid, keep it off the internet, keep it off the streaming services, might encourage people to go see it. It's like if something that's been shot like that, to put it for it to have a sort of a maximal effect as a message. The cinema is the place to see it. It's the right setting, isn't it? Out of the home. See something serious like that, yeah, you're right to go to cinema. It gives it a sense of ritual. You have to make an effort to go and see it, and that'd be part of it. Tapping into everything. So it's like, do you trust Jim Caviezel to take you to a voyage into the darkest, sickest place in the world? Be interesting to see what happens.